Hey there, comic book community. My name is Joe, and this is 360 Comics. Over the weekend, I traveled up to Connecticut to attend the 3 Men in a Basement comic crawl. I had a fantastic time and walked away with a mega haul of over 600 books, the best of which I'll be showing off to you in this video today. If you like what we're doing here and want to support the channel, it would be so appreciated if you would hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notification, give us a thumbs up for a like, and leave a comment down below. Also, check us out on Whatnot and Instagram. And speaking of Whatnot, we're doing 2 giveaways over there very soon. We've got this copy of Star Wars #1. All you got to do to enter to win this is follow us on Whatnot. I'm going to pick a winner before our first Whatnot sale. And then we've got Wolverine #17, John Byrne cover newsstand edition. This is going to be given out to a random person who purchases something from our first Whatnot sale. So definitely look out for that and check it out. I am not exaggerating in the least when I tell you that the 3 Men in a Basement comic book crawl was an absolutely incredible experience and one that I would definitely partake in again. That being said, it's a little bit too incredible for just one video, so we're going to have a couple videos throughout the week. This one is going to be on kind of the cream of the crop from the haul, the best books that I got. The second video is going to go into the experience, everything we did, starting at 3:30 in the morning when I woke up and going all the way till about 11 o'clock at night when I got home. Everything in between. If you're thinking about going on the crawl at some point, definitely watch that one. And then the third video is going to be all 600 plus books. I'm going to put a little bit of background music on and flip through all of them for you if you want to see everything that I walked away with. Without further ado, let's get into these books. The first stop of the day at 8 a.m. in the morning on Saturday was Brick House Comics. Now, this guy had a pretty cool layout. It was more of like a warehouse situation. I think he probably does conventions and stuff like that, but also opens his home base up on a semi-regular basis to do these sales for the public. There were a ton of people there, not just people from the crawl. So I guess this is like a regular thing. And he had half-price back issue bins, which was awesome. A big wall of books, and of course my favorite, a whole room of dollar bin stuff. We'll get to that in a second, but first we'll go through these half-price keys that he had. First up is Amazing Spider-Man 239, the second appearance of Hobgoblin, a book that I don't currently have in my personal collection, and as a Hobgoblin fan, I'm ashamed of that. One that I sold off years ago and now re-added it to the personal collection. You can see the price tag here, $60, but like I said, half price on these back issues. It was only $30, and it's pretty high grade. Next up, we got a book that's been on my recent spec list. I always practice what I preach. I do pick up these books myself. I don't just talk about them. We got The Amazing Spider-Man 256, first appearance of the Puma, and guess what? There were 2 copies, both of them newsstand, both of them decently high grade as well. Marked at $10. I got them for $5 a piece. Then we got Amazing Spider-Man 641. This is from the One Moment in Time run, which Spider-Man No Way Home based off of, loosely, of course, but Doctor Strange erases everyone's memory because Peter Parker revealed his identity during the Civil War run, and this is one of those really cool negative space covers, and guess what? It's also signed by the artist, what's his name? Paulo Rivera, and not only that, but $10, marked down to $5 because of the 50% off. Great deal. Next, we got Venom #1 from the Donny Cates run. This is kind of becoming like the quintessential, Venom run. Like, obviously, Lethal Protector is up there, but man, people love this run. I don't blame them. This was like Donny Cates doing Donny Cates' best work. So really cool stuff here. Issue #1 for $7.50. I will take that all day. Same with this next book. Usually see this book for like $20. They had it at $10, and it's 50% off. So I paid $5 for this guy right here. X-Men 222, Wolverine Sabretooth cover, and a classic battle between the X-Men and the Marauders. Speaking of Wolverine, check that out. A Wolverine #4 from the limited series. Decently graded, probably like a mid to high grade, somewhere in there. Only 20, so I paid $10 for this Wolverine book, and I just was talking about how I want to get reader copies of this whole run for my personal collection, and look, there's one right there for me. Then we got some Daredevil. You know I love it. A book that I did not have, number 69, and is this a key? I think this is like some minor key. I forget. Oh, it's the first appearance of Turk Barrett, I believe his name is, the arms dealer. He does appear in the television show from Netflix, and yeah, first appearance of that character. Only $4. Check that out. $8 marked down to $4 for some late Silver Age Daredevil. Then we're moving on to the Frank Miller run. This book, I've got some high hopes for this book, because this is the first meetup between Daredevil and Iron Fist and Luke Cage. And they were all part of the Defenders team on Netflix. Charlie Cox has now showed up in the MCU. Will the other characters show up? Will the Defenders team end up being a part of the MCU? Who knows? But I've got high hopes for this. And if not, if it doesn't pan out, still a great Frank Miller Daredevil run book. Same thing with this next one, 186, not a key, but certainly a really amazing, iconic cover by Frank Miller. And then moving on to some Thor stuff here, we got the second appearance of Beta Ray Bill. Only $10, easy buy there. It's a newsstand as well. People are specking on this character. Might be coming to the MCU at some point. Thor Love and Thunder is only a couple months away. We'll see. And then I got his third appearance as well, which is also the first appearance of Stormbreaker, his hammer. And there's another Stormbreaker-related key in a little bit as well. And we got Fantastic Four 209, another book from one of my spec videos recently. First appearance of Herbie the Robot, right down there at the bottom. Character that I think would do very well in the MCU. Then the very next issue, 210, not a key, but man, this Galactus cover is awesome. Galactus is one of those characters like Doctor Doom and Hobgoblin that just makes every cover that they're on look great. Speaking of, another Galactus cover here with Silver Surfer #1. This is from Volume 2. It's really just a 2-issue miniseries written by Stan Lee with art by Mobius. You can't beat that. That is a good team up right there. And another Silver Surfer book here, this one from the 90s, featuring Thanos, one of the big baddies of the MCU, and Mephisto, one of the most speculated on characters from the MCU. He hasn't shown up yet. Will he? Won't he? Who knows? But great cover nonetheless. And just $4 too. Then we got Dark Claw #1. This is a book that I picked up a couple times, but I've never picked up a newsstand. In fact, I've never seen a newsstand in person of this book. It was marked at 10, so I just paid $5. Easy purchase there all day. Then we got some Silver Age Detective Comics, a 12 center here. Not a key issue, but doesn't need to be a key issue for this stuff. I love Silver Age Detective and Batman stuff. And look at that cover, featuring the Riddler and Robin laughing at Batman while he's locked up. And yeah, we're going to see some Riddler next month in The Batman coming out soon. Super far in the future from this. Fast forwarding right here all the way up to the modern age, going from silver to modern in Detective, we got Batman Detective Comics number 850. First appearance of Gotham City Sirens. I'm not sure if this was marked inappropriately or something like that. This book usually sells for $20, $25, and I could not find a flaw on it. It is nice, high grade, and I got it for $5, so very, very happy about that one. And then we'll go over to the Batman run and rewind all the way back to the Silver Age. Another 12 center, and look at that. It's got a Joker cover on it. Anytime the Joker appeared on an early, Bronze Age detective book, or sorry, not Bronze Age, Silver Age detective book, or Silver Age Batman book, that book it's got to have some value to it, just because he's the Joker. He's the quintessential Batman villain, and this was low grade, but marked at $10, so I only paid $5. Easy pickup for the personal collection. Speaking of the Joker, we got an iconic Jim Lee Joker cover here on Batman 616? Something like that. 614, part of the Hush run, one of my favorite runs of all time for Batman. And then we got some Green Lantern. This is a book I've never picked up myself before, but I know this is a key first cover appearance of Simon Baz. And nonetheless, it is a great cover. Green Lantern fans like this guy. I'm not super familiar, not being a DC guy, but cool stuff right there. And then we got some TMNT, some early TMNT issue number 11. It doesn't have the best cover, but for $4, I am always going to pick up early TMNT stuff. That is a given for sure. Now, that's it for the price books for this guy, but we've got all the dollar bin stuff and one slab at the end, so let's go to that. You know I was in heaven in that dollar bin room, and I got some great stuff. I'm going to show you the best of it today. Starting off with this Venom Funeral Pyre number 1. After Lethal Protector, they decided to do another limited series with Venom, this time featuring the Punisher as well. And this is the first book of that run, a very foil, very 90s cover. And moving on to Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man number 99. Love this book. I actually owned this book as a kid. I think I got it from like a $1 back issue bin. And my personal copy, I haven't had in years. But this is the second appearance of Spot, as well as his first cover appearance. I love this cover. Al Milgrom killed it here. And I think this character would be really cool to utilize, especially in the animated universe. I know there was a little bit of speculation a while ago. I don't think that panned out or anything like that, but you never know. It could happen. This next one was a huge find, and it's got a little bit of what might be water damage in this corner, but honestly, I think I can press it, and, I'm not going to get a 9.8 or anything like that. It's not going to be grade worthy, but I can make this book look a lot nicer here. We got The Amazing Spider-Man 431. This is the first appearance of Cosmic Carnage. The low print runs of the late 90s mixed with the first appearance and killer cover on this book make it very, very expensive. In fact, they had a nice copy on the wall there as well, marked at $80, but this one, I guess due to the water damage, they put in the dollar bin, but easily worth more than $1 for sure. This might be one of the best pickups of the day, in fact. But that's not to say that the rest of these aren't great, especially some Bronze Age X-Men. We got Uncanny X-Men number 126, first full appearance of Proteus. This is low grade, but not like terrible. It's complete, it's all intact, and was very happy to find an early Claremont key in a dollar bin. This one's a little bit more wrecked, but it's definitely a bigger key. Was very surprised that this was in the dollar bin. The cover is detached, but it's all there. The whole thing is there. This is Uncanny X-Men 134, the first appearance of Dark Phoenix, and coincidentally, last night I was starting my rewatch of Stranger Things before Season 4 comes out, and in the very first episode, this exact comic book is referenced. Thought that was really cool, and my ears perked up as soon as I heard that. Then we got X-Men 238. You know what it is. First full appearance of Bishop. I've talked about this book a ton. And this book and the first cameo appearance of Bishop, which is actually the more expensive one. I have tons of copies of each, and I just keep picking them up because the X-Men are coming. I think Bishop is one that they should definitely utilize. Then we got Rogue number 1. I think it's without a doubt that we'll see Rogue at some point in the MCU. Personally, I think it's going to happen this year in the Marvels. May or may not. Who knows? But, yeah, this is our first solo run, foil embossed cover from the 90s. Very, very indicative of the times, and a super cool book. Then we got Captain America 286, classic Mike Zeck cover featuring Deathlock right there. Zeck's one of the great artists of all time, and this is just so his personality right here. Love to see it. Then we got Incredible Hulk 291. This is the origin story of General Ross, and just a great cover. I think this is a really underrated key issue, given how important this character is to Hulk and also to the MCU. He's just a great backing character for the MCU, and it's got such a great cover and his origin story. So, surprised this book isn't worth more. I'm going to probably hold on to a couple copies of it. Then we got Ghost Rider, number 1 from the 90s. First appearance of Danny Ketch, the second Ghost Rider, taking on the role, taking on the mantle, the spirit of vengeance. And interestingly enough, it's a newsstand. I've never seen a newsstand of this book in person. Never really found it in a back issue bin or anything like that. But it's really, really low grade. It is well loved. I think it would, it's certainly under, it's like a 4.0 or something like that, maybe a 4.5. But nonetheless, I'm going to press this one. I'm going to make this one look as pretty as possible. And this would be a good one that's just going to be an affordable way to pick up the first Ghost Rider #1 for whoever wants it in the future. We'll see about that. But I'm gonna make this book look pretty before I do so. Then we got Detective Comics 609, a book I pick up all the time because of the great cover, and it's the first appearance of Anarchy. Love Norm Brayfogle stuff. He's my favorite Batman artist, and this is just his style, absolutely perfect. Then we got Batman and the Outsiders #1. Pretty easy pickup there for $1. Just the first book of the run, and cool cover and stuff. I'm not huge on this run. I've never really dove into it, but there's probably some good stories in there. Then we got Gotham by Gaslight, part of the Elseworlds kind of alternate universe spin-off thing. Really, really popular. Easy read, short one. Definitely recommend everyone picking this guy up and reading it at some point. Now, all that stuff that I showed you so far, this was all from Brick House. I took it up. I was getting the number for how much it was, and I was watching the calculator and watching it go up, and I had a slab in my hand, and I started putting the slab back because the box was right next to me, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go over budget if I start off at the first stop like this, but guess what? The guy was like, you want that book? You want that slab? You're spending a lot. I'm going to give you a good deal. He sold me this slab right here, X-Men. $282. First cameo and first cover appearance of Bishop. We just talked about Bishop a second ago. 9.8 CGC white pages. Gave me this for $190. That is like between $50 and $100 below fair market value. Got a great deal on that and didn't have to break the bank. I have a couple copies of this one already, and I wanted some more because I'm big on this character, like I said, and I got a great deal. So that's it for Brick House, but let's move on to the second stop of the crawl. In the later half of the morning, we made it to our second stop for the crawl, which was called Heroes and Hitters, a brick and mortar store that has been located in Connecticut for 32 years. It's as old as I am, and this store was great. Well-maintained, really clean, neat, and organized, and the owners were such nice people. And just to show you how nice they were, they had a whole stack of these guys right here. A really coveted hot book. They're going on eBay for like $15 despite only coming out about 2 weeks ago. Darth Vader #20, the 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm's edition. And it features the first cover appearance of Mando and Grogu there on the front. And man, this book has been hot. Instead of selling these on eBay or marking them up to $15 like a lot of places have, they were giving these out one per customer to all the people on the crawl for just $4 cover price. You heard it right. Cover price, $4. Really happy about that. I have seen no stores selling this at cover price. And so that big kudos to them. And not only that, but they had these slightly damaged copies. You probably can't even see. There's a small little tear right there. You probably can't even see it. They were selling these for just $2 a piece. Anyone who wanted them could grab one of each, and I definitely did. Then we got, everything was 30% off, by the way. Just want to remind you of that. They gave us a good deal there as part of the crawl. So this guy marked at $4. I paid less than $3 for it. We got Spider-Man #24. Second appearance and first cover appearance of Doppelganger. Just a really classic book from this era. Then we got Green Lantern #49. The part of the Kyle Rayner run, I like to call it. Its official name is Emerald Twilight. Second book of the run with this incredible Hal Jordan going maniacally crazy with all the rings on. This was marked at $8, so I got it for, less than $6 there. Great price on that one. A book that's been on my spec list recently, Amazing Spider-Man 167. First appearance of Will-O-the-Wisp, and they had it at $10, so I got it for just $7. A nice Bronze Age first appearance spec book, in my opinion. And then you saw this one in the beginning. This is certainly the book that I was the most stoked about here. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man 101. newsstand, John Byrne cover with this negative space Spidey thing. I actually have a print of this book in my living room. That's how much I love this cover. One of my favorites of all time for sure, and a book that I haven't had in my personal collection in a few years. I sold it around the time I bought my house, and now I have it back in the collection. Stoked about that. And that's it for this location. I pumped the brakes. I didn't even pump the brakes here. I really slammed on the brakes. I overspent a bit at the first location. I wanted to make sure I had some money for the last stop because I heard it was great. So I didn't buy too much here, but I definitely recommend the store. Let's go to that last location now and see what I got. The third stop of the day is a staple of the comic crawl every time they do it, and just a name that I've heard a bunch. It's called Sarge's Comics, and they do something a little bit special for the crawl. They actually allowed us to go down in their storage basement and hunt through the unsorted boxes of collections that they've bought. This is not something they normally do, so don't expect to go to Sarge's and do that on a random Tuesday. It's not happening. You have to come to the comic crawl, and if that's not a reason to join for next time, I don't know what is. This was a phenomenal experience. Some crazy books were found down there, and I got a ton of stuff. In fact, I filled up a long box and 2 short boxes, and we were told, fill up some boxes, bring them up, and chances are the owner's going to give it to you for less than you think. And guess what? That definitely happened. I brought up a long box and 2 short boxes, so several hundred books, and he only charged me $250 for everything. Came out to probably about 50 cents a book. I haven't really counted yet, but somewhere around there. Anyway, let's start it off. We got Spider-Woman number 6. This is a bondage cover, and it features a crossover with Werewolf by Night. One of the few books in the Wonder Woman run that I do not have yet, and just did a video on how that's an easy-to-collect run, so I'm glad to have this one in there filling in the spot. Then we got ASM 156. This is the wedding of Ned Leeds. Possible little MCU spec here. The character Ned Leeds does exist in the MCU, and we don't really know if we're going to see him anymore, as he forgets Peter at this point, but you never know what's going to happen. It's also the first appearance of Mirage, a pretty minor villain, but just a great Bronze Age ASM book. And then we got 176 as well. This is the first appearance of the 3rd iteration of the Green Goblin. What's his name? Bart Williamson or something like that? Bart something. Not Bart Simpson. Something else. Then we got ASM 346 classic Eric Larson Venom cover. Look at that drool. So iconic. The drool in the tongue from Eric Larson. And we got Spidey reflecting in the eyes there. Great stuff from the early 90s. And then we got some Amazing Spider-Man Annual. This is issue 15. Unfortunately, not 16. That's the big one, Monica Rambeau. But this one features a really cool cover with the Daily Bugle on the front and an article about Spider-Man versus the Punisher. And if you look closely, that's Doc Ock's tentacles right there, drinking a coffee and reading the book. I think that is a really cool touch to the cover here. And I believe this has a pretty popular classic story in it as well. Then we got ASM Swing Shift number 1, book I've talked about a bunch. First appearance of Mr. Negative and what's her name? Jackpot. And this was kind of a reprint of the story from the Free Comic Book Day that year. This was like the official printing of it. Then we got Spider-Man and Wolverine number 1. This is not only a great team-up, but battle between these two big Marvel characters, probably the 2 biggest, but it's also got the death of Ned Leeds in it, which is part of the Hobgoblin storyline, something that is worth picking up for any Hobgoblin fan. This one is easily missed because he's not on the cover or anything like that, and it's not part of one of the main runs at the time. Then we got Uncanny X-Men 210, first cameo appearance of the Marauders, and a great cover. Love to see it. And then X-Men Annual 4. Now, this is a book I've got a couple copies of. It's an origin story of Nightcrawler, but it's also got the first meeting of X-Men and Doctor Strange. Now that we saw, or rather heard, Professor X in the Multiverse of Madness trailer, that is something that possibly could be happening in that movie or in the near future. We'll have to see. Then we got X-Men 24, classic cover here with Rogue and Gambit kissing. And not only that, Never found this one in the wild before in a newsstand. Pretty cool stuff from the 90s. Moving on, there was a whole run of new X-Men, like almost all of them except for some of the bigger keys. And I grabbed one of each book for myself, but these two really stood out as some of the, medium keys that are still in there. We got number 133, first appearance of Dust, who is a Muslim character, and, she wears the traditional Muslim religious garb. Therefore, you can only see her eyes, and I really love how they showed that on the cover and gave that aspect of the character. Really cool stuff, and just an awesome cover with those beautiful eyes. Then we've got number 134, the very next issue, first appearance of Kid Omega, and another great cover. This one with Phoenix on it. Fire, orange, great stuff. Love to see it. Moving on to some Wolverine. Look at that. Earlier in the video, you saw number 4. Here's number 3. And like I said, I'm trying to get a reader copy of every book in this run for my personal collection. Look at that. Number 3. Now I just need 2 and 1. It's a newsstand, but that doesn't really matter. 1982, prior to direct editions being more popular. Then we got Wolverine 17. Look at that. It is my giveaway book. I got a couple copies of this, in fact. Newsstand right here. John Byrne cover. Classic stuff here. Really, really awesome. Happy to find this. Always happy to find it, but especially if I can get it nice and cheap like I did. And then Wolverine 24. This is a classic Jim Lee cover from that same run. And can't go wrong with some John Byrne and Jim Lee, two of my favorite all-time artists. Then this next book, a really interesting one that you don't see too often. In fact, I have never found this book in the wild. Now I found it. I should say I found it. I found the second printing. The first printing was actually recalled. Wolverine uses an anti-Semitic slur to describe Sabretooth, and for that reason, they pulled the original printing from the shelves, and they did a second printing with different word used in place. That being said, the way you can tell without opening the book, look at the barcode. If the last number is 1, it's the first printing. That is rare. Kind of like a $30 book. If the last number is 2, then it's a second printing, and it's a dollar bin book. They had 2 of these. I looked at the first one, and it was second printing, and I was like, this one's going to be 2. And I look at the second one, and there's a 1 there. So stoked to finally find this. I've been looking for it forever. Really happy about that. Then we got some Dazzler here. This is really like, other than Dazzler 1, this is the only book that people really collect in the run. The only one that's like a pretty significant key. It's Dazzler number 33, and it's an homage to Michael Jackson's Thriller. The episode, or the issue, is called Chiller, and you can see the zombie situation going on here. I'm going to put these down because we got to make some more room for some Fantastic Four. We got issue number 238 featuring a Doctor Doom cover. Then he says, honest, Doctor Doom's not in this comic book. I guess they did this to like sell more copies or something like that. This weird cover. But it's also got the first appearance of Aunt Petunia. Ben Grimm, the Thing's aunt that he speaks about very often. Then we got Fantastic Four 273, first appearance of another family member, Nathaniel Richards, the father of Reed Richards. Also got some links and ties to Kang. This book really blew up when we first saw Kang on the screen this past year in Loki. Speaking of Loki, we got Fantastic Four 346, first mention of the TVA, the Time Variance Authority. MCU connections, that's making these books, driving the prices of them. It's crazy. We got Marvel Super Action, which is a reprint run of Avengers stuff. This is number 18, which reprints the first appearance of Vision and thankfully uses that iconic cover that we all know and love, with Vision there with his hand and the other Avengers, or is it Avengers on the ground or people? We got the Avengers on the ground. Great cover. Love to see it. Even though this is a reprint, sells for like around $15, $20, even $25 in a high grade, because this book, the first printing is obviously a very expensive key at this point. You really can't get it even in low grade for less than a couple hundred. Then we got the Mighty Thor 209 Bronze Age book, first appearance of Druid. I don't really know much about this character, but this is early Bronze Age, a 20 center. Can't really beat some early Thor, and getting a good price on it sure does help. Then we got Iron Man 255. Armory Wars is coming. coming to Netflix, or not Netflix, Disney Plus. There's going to be a series at some point. This is the first book of that run in the comics. I see this one for $25 all day, so I knew I had to grab it. And there was actually most of the run. I think it was missing like 2 or 3 of the issues. I think there's like 7 or something. I forget exactly. Going back to Thor, we got Thor Annual number 11. And if this isn't the most Bronze Age cover that I've ever seen, I don't know what is. Really cool, like, perspective thing going on here with Thor throwing the hammer. It's got that border around the side and at the top. Really big, bold lettering. Very, very Bronze Age. This is the first appearance of, what's his name? Eitri, I believe. The dwarven blacksmith who forges the Stormbreaker. So it's a pretty cool little key to have there with some MCU connection and connection to Beta Ray Bill as well. Then we got Captain America 241, the first meeting between Cap and the Punisher. Great cover there. I'm not a big Cap guy, but this is like such an iconic cover with Punisher holding the gun up to Cap, standing on top of the shield. Really shows like the dichotomy here, the difference between these two characters. Then we got some Doctor Strange. This book, again, on my spec list recently, and it is popped. This book has gone up significantly in price. I was picking up copies for $5, and I still was picking them up when they were $10. This book's selling for like $20 or $25 now because we've seen Rintrah in the trailer. This is his first cameo appearance, and it's also the second to last book of the original Doctor Strange run. Before, that ended, 81 issues. That's, a pretty good size run and pretty easy to collect still. We got number 80, though, first cameo of Rintrah. And speaking of Doctor Strange, Moon Knight, number 36, the first meeting between Moon Knight and Doctor Strange himself. They're both on the cover. This is something that I think we could see in the future, the very near future, because Moon Knight, interestingly enough, ends on the same week that we get Multiverse of Madness in theaters. The last episode, I believe, comes out Wednesday. I think they're doing Wednesdays. They've done Wednesdays for all the shows, so I'm just assuming. Comes out Wednesday, the last episode, and then the very next day, Thursday, is the premiere of Multiverse of Madness. Are we going to see the two meet up, team up, anything like that? Maybe, maybe not, but this is just a cool key at that. Then we got some Punisher here. We got War Journal number 1. This is the second ongoing Punisher series, which is the third Punisher series overall, because he had that limited series in the early 80s as well. And yeah, really surprised to see this one. This book, great cover, and goes for like $20, so had to pick that one up. Rise of the Midnight Suns from Ghost Rider 31. This guy right here, first full appearance. You've seen this in my videos before. This and 28. I have a bunch of copies of both. People are speculating, all that stuff, and it still remains a pretty affordable book. So, I'm going to keep picking them up. Then we got Tomb of Dracula, number 25. This is the first appearance of Hannibal King, which is a very expensive book, but this is the reprint. JCPenney's did a couple of Marvel comic reprints in the, I believe, early 90s. Might have been late 80s, but nonetheless, they did these weird reprints, and there's an X-Men one for the first appearance of Banshee. This is the Tomb of Dracula one. You can always tell that it's the reprint. I always take them out and look at the back. There is a advertisement on the back for Stridex face wipes, which were like, face cleaning wipes from the 90s. I don't even know if they still exist, but nonetheless, that is an easy way to tell. If you see this book or that X-Men key in a high grade, you always want to check the back and make sure it's the real deal and not the reprint from years and years later. But yeah, great book to pick up. And this last one, this one is like 90s nostalgia all over it. Maybe even a little bit 80s. I think this character may have debuted in the 80s. We got Captain Planet, number 1. You know him. He's our hero. And yeah, this was a show I watched a ton as a kid, and I've never found this book in the wild before. So finding it in, a basement back issue bin, perfect stuff. Love to see it. Really cool cover as well. Let's move on to some DC stuff now. We are on the home stretch now, the final pile of books, starting off here with a Silver Age Detective Comics issue number 356, the first appearance of the Outsider. Not a character I really know much about, but yeah, I gotta pick up 12-cent detective stuff. This next one is a little bit of a bigger key here. We got issue number 437. This is the first modern age, I guess, appearance of the Manhunter. He originally appeared in the Golden Age in Adventure Comics and kind of sat on the back burner for a while. And, you know, all those Golden Age characters, their first appearance are, yeah, they're impossible to find. So what people do is they collect the first Silver or Bronze Age appearance of those characters that were reintroduced later on. This is a good one. Then we got Detective Comics 463, first appearance of Black Spider. I have a feeling that DC saw the success of Spider-Man and tried to play off that a little bit and create this character. Similar look in some ways, you know, spider abilities, all that stuff, just as a villain character against Batman. Then we got a more modern book here, number 585, still from the Tech Run, and first appearance of the Ratcatcher. And this character, in a different form, it's the daughter of this character, really, appeared in Suicide Squad. That daughter does not appear in comics anywhere, so this is kind of the go-to Ratcatcher key, you know, because, you know, she's not in continuity at all. This book popped this past year, so I was stoked to find it, and it's still holding value pretty well due to that movie actually being good compared to the first Suicide Squad movie. Now, this next one, I really could not believe. I was blown away by finding this. We got Batman 179, the second Silver Age appearance of the Riddler. He's on the cover, doing some riddling. We got Batman and Robin swinging in the background. Great book. It is really low grade. Now, high-grade copies, even medium-grade, mid-grade copies of this book kind of sell for a couple $100. This one is really low-grade. In fact, the cover is hanging on by a hair. It's got some rips, tears, holes, all that stuff. But, yeah, for the price I got it at, cannot complain about that whatsoever. Couple issues later, we got Batman 184. This one's not a key, but a 12-cent Batman, got to pick it up for the collection. And then jumping all the way up to the modern age here, the late 90s, Batman Legends of the Dark Knight number 120. And this is one of the Cassandra Cain keys. I believe this is like her first appearance, like in costume as Batgirl. It's not her first appearance, but it's one of the Cassandra Cain keys, because there's a couple of them from this era in the late 90s. Then we got Justice League number 1, the rebooted run from 1987. And this has become like a pretty coveted book, even though it's a mass-printed one. Typically sells for like about $15 all day, and 9/8 are quite up there in the hundreds. Then we got a book, this one popped recently, Teen Titans 21, first appearance of Brother Blood. He just got announced for the 4th season of the Titans television show on HBO Max. I'm excited about that because that show, it's a slow start. Season 1's not great. Season 2's okay. Season 3 was really good, though. I'm hoping Season 4 will continue that stride. It is definitely possible, so let's look out for that. Then we got OMAC, One Man Army Corps, right here from DC. I don't know anything about this character, but I've seen this book around from time to time. I know it's a key. I know it's worth about 15 or 20 bucks. This one's a little dingy, you can see on the cover, but nonetheless, it's all there, and it's not in too bad shape considering it was just sitting in a basement. Next, we got the entire run. I'm going to move this stuff down real quick. Of Crisis on Infinite Earths, number 1, number 2. You got the George Perez cover. You got one of the most iconic events in DC history. And you got some pretty decent keys, a bunch of minor keys. And then we got this one here, Death of Supergirl, probably the most expensive book in the run. And then we got Death of the Barry Allen, The Flash, right here, probably the second most expensive book. But we got the whole thing. And not only was there this whole run here, they're all in pretty good shape. Not 9.8 worthy, but pretty nice nonetheless. And then there was an additional copy of number 7, Death of Supergirl, which, like I said, the most expensive book, and it's high grade newsstand. Wow. Could not believe I found this in a basement. And this I found actually towards the end of the day. I think people had passed this over throughout the day. Was really surprised about that because there were a ton of people digging down there. Then we got Spawn #9, first appearance of Angela. This book I've talked about to death. Just going to show you it real quick. And then Angela #1, another Image book, her first solo run, and another great pickup, spec book for the Angela character. The last book here today, we got Usagi Yojimbo #1 from Volume 2. Mirage Comics took over, and just a great little 90s run. I've never read it myself, but I like this character, so this might be something that I look into picking up because I bet the other issues are not very expensive. That the original run, obviously pricey all around. This one might be a little bit more affordable. Yeah, guys, that being said, there is tons of stuff in here that was great, and there's also tons of stuff that I did not show you yet. Stick around for that video later this week that's going to go through all 600 plus books. Like I said, I had a fantastic time, and I want to share that opportunity and share that experience with you. So I'm also going to do that recap video, kind of going through how everything went. So look out for that video. And I want to give a big shout out to 3 Men in a Basement. They do a phenomenal job, not just online with their YouTube channel and the Instagram and their whatnot sales and all that stuff, but doing stuff live in person. They're at events, they're at cons, they're hosting their own events. They've got a swap coming up in May. They do this crawl twice a year. Definitely go give them a follow, a subscribe on all social media. They are worth it. And if you live in the, East Coast area, northern part of the East Coast, I drove from Philly. Other people were driving from Jersey, from Massachusetts, New York, all that stuff. If you live anywhere around there, I definitely recommend attending one or more of their events. They're a great time. And I'm definitely going to head up for another crawl and probably for the swap in May as well. I'm going to work out details on that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of long. Thanks for sticking around. And if you did stick around, big kudos to you. It was quite a few books here and nothing compared to what I'm going to show you later this week. Anyway, I will leave you at that. And until next time, turn the page, wash your hands.